So there have been several movies, both Indian as well as international, that have shaped me as a human and has also led me to create this channel and solely focus on movies. The movies I'm going to be talking about have provided me life-altering lessons and also came during my formative years as well as at times where I found myself facing several hurdles. I hope you like the video as it will provide you insight on why my obsessions with films started, the kind of films I like, and also maybe present you a list of movies you can watch online during lockdown. So without further ado, here is Tried&Refused Productions with 12 Bollywood and international movies that changed my life. I hope you love them too. 500 Days of Summer. For all the romantics yet realists out there, this is the movie for you. I keep on revisiting this Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel romantic film to give me a constant reminder on the saying, let go of the illusion that it could have been any different. The film focuses on a love story that develops between Tom and Summer and how it transitions to become lopsided with respect to the intensity and love for one another. Tom constantly battles the idea of the perfect girl in his love story and how it didn't work out. The movie falls in the genre of the stories of a doomed romance. You might wonder, what's the point of it? It provided a humble reminder to me whenever I have been heartbroken that when we fall deeply and madly in love, we can't control whether they might ever feel the same way. In the quest of beating yourself up on how beautiful life would have been with the person, we build an illusion that only leads to a path of misery and self-pity. A realistic romance with beautiful performances, a superbly choreographed screenplay, and a soundtrack that will stay with you. 500 Days of Summer will forever stay in my heart. La La Land. A lot of people don't know, but before I transitioned to work on the digital space, I used to work as a professional dancer and choreographer in Delhi. One of the reasons why I stepped into La La Land was because of the musical setup of intricate choreography and original music. Little did I know I would be absolutely transfixed in this movie-going experience. Usually, movie musicals are based on classical stage musicals. West Side Story and Chicago are based on stage plays of the same name. But La La Land told a contemporary story of a relationship between two artists in current-day Los Angeles and the importance of having cross paths with people who play a key role in your individual growth. There are sometimes you meet people who get you, even when you have nothing in your name, and sadly when you progress into becoming something, they're not by your side. But you're grateful for their contribution in your life, because you wouldn't be where you are or who you are today if it wasn't for those experiences. There is nothing more powerful than crossing paths with a person you dearly loved and envisioned a future with. Life had you go separate ways, and you bump into each other only to acknowledge one another that everything turned out okay. Tamasha. Tamasha came in my life at a time where I absolutely had no direction in my life. I had just graduated from college and was dabbling into things like a headless chicken, assuming that things would somehow shape up to my convenience. Tamasha was a movie experience that made it very clear to me to seize the opportunity regardless of the naysayers that will constantly remind you about what a bad idea it is to pursue your dreams. It reminded me that by being accommodating and subservient to the system, we can lead a fulfilling life, but of no consequence in the grand scheme of things. Just a part of the crowd instead of the one leading or addressing the masses. Abiding by the rules, strictly walking within the lines designed by society and the corporate structure he willingly became a slave to. Through a source of energy and direction like Tara, Wade understood there was no point of existence if he constantly fought his inner voice, but to come to terms with it and simply let it out. And this journey not only inspired many to go on to do what they wanted, most importantly desired, but also film fans grew immense respect for actors like Ranbir and Deepika and creators like Imtiaz Ali who provided us such a gem. Good Will Hunting. A film that I fell in love with as it so perfectly captured the psychology of humans in society was the Matt Damon, Robin Williams and Ben Affleck starrer Good Will Hunting. The movie focuses on Will, who works blue-collar jobs as a janitor and construction worker but has a gift of solving complex mathematical problems. This leads to the film highlighting some key features of humans that have the ability to grab onto endless opportunities in life, but rationalize each and everything with the worst-case scenario in order to justify their inaction. Will, with his inexplainable skill, turns down several opportunities in order to stay in the comfort of his friend's company, where he is not challenged and mediocrity is the norm. It is only through the several characters around him that have his best interests that the screenplay of the film slowly peels the inner turmoil and troubled childhood of Will that makes his characteristics seem understandable. The film is gut-wrenchingly powerful and possesses some of the best performances by the ensemble cast. I assure you this movie will move you in every way. Swades. I think hands down Shah Rukh Khan's best film, coming very close to Chak De India, was the 2004 Ashutosh Gowarikar directed film Swades. The story of a NASA scientist who visits his village to meet his caretaker provides for a story that showcases many life lessons even today, and most importantly, at least for me, makes you understand what a privileged life you have lived and how diverse and complex the lives of majority Indians truly is. Problems that are not prevalent only in rural areas but aspects every section of society has experienced. Be it the regressive caste system, child marriage, lack of education, poverty, the role of women, the lack of grassroots development in the country, the lack of incentive to educate women, and accepting the fate and reality you have become used to and taking it to your deathbed. Topics that movies focus on today and are given standing ovations for as they take a stand against oppressive practices. This is the film that cast a bankable movie star and yet focused on those same problems rather than the hero. Shah Rukh through this film was just a vessel to highlight problems that plague our society. The film provided us an ugly but real reflection of the long way we have to go as a nation, and there being no way of reaching that point other than walking hand in hand. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. A film that made me fall in love with screenplay in movies and its effective way of telling a simple story in non-chronological form was the 2004 film Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. A film that asks you the question, if you had the chance, would you erase the memories you shared with one person? This film combines elements of science fiction only as a means to tell us how the relationship between Joel and Clementine transpired, and what slowly unravels is the most pertinent question: why does Joel find himself in this predicament? Is the pain of separation and heartbreak so unbearable that you are willing to erase it completely off your memory, or treat those experiences as learnings of why it was never meant to be? The film, despite its convoluted screenplay, presents a powerful story between characters that are ordinary and real. Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet in this masterpiece will captivate you and make you also introspect. What would you do if provided a similar opportunity? Rang De Basanti, a film that was brave and revolutionary in so many ways, was the 2006 film Rang De Basanti. There are very few movies in this day and age that can bring up such relevant and pertinent political questions. The film was iconic in all aspects, from the performances of the ensemble cast, the integration of stories of freedom fighters, and how it correlates to their predicament in the current stage. The movie made me realize several things: that one, through the medium of films we can say and challenge so much. And second, the evolution of what you think is a justifiable action. Where the action taken by the characters in the film are justifiable for some, it still brings up the pressing question of what kind of a citizen are you? A bystander as unjust practices take place in front of you, or a person who speaks out, taking the risk of jeopardizing several things you hold dearest to you? Definitely Rakesh Om Prakash's best work, and a film that truly impacted a generation. The soundtrack of A.R. Rahman, specifically Khoon Chala and Lukka Chuppi, will forever be my favorites. Nightcrawler, a masterpiece that brilliantly engaged audiences with an anti-hero as the protagonist, was the 2014 film Nightcrawler starring Jake Gyllenhaal. A movie that focuses on a desperate and hardworking man willing to go to any length to do well on a job that he has stumbled upon, in this case providing footage, mainly scenes of crime, to news channels. Lou, played by Jake, is a sociopath, and in the process we see the dirty world of sensationalism in news taking advantage of a character like him, who can easily fog the concept of morality in such a high demanding job. The film opened my eyes in how effectively filmmakers can tell stories of imperfect characters in a cruel world, for no fault of theirs, just trying to make a name for themselves, but in the process taking decisions that are absolutely skewed from the morals heroes are mostly attributed to. A powerful performance by Jake Gyllenhaal, and a gripping tale on how heartless and inhumane our society has truly become today. Dil Chahta Hai, a commercial Hindi film that finally ventured into telling stories of people just like any one of us, was Dil Chahta Hai. A lot of people don't give Dil Chahta Hai that regard and respect, but at that point of time in 2001, there was nothing like this movie. The way the characters interacted with each other, the way they dressed, the stories it told, it marked a huge shift towards telling stories about people we can relate to, rather than what we were subjected to for decades. Fictional tales of heroes who could do no wrong. There is camaraderie, turmoil, and character arcs that resonated with so many and still stands the test of time. Dil Chahta Hai not only was the reason why everyone fantasized about going to Goa for a trip with the boys, but also gave courage to aspiring filmmakers who never imagined to make films on similar topics and with the same tonality. The Prestige, A movie that started my one-sided relationship of absolute love and admiration for Christopher Nolan was when I saw The Prestige. Now don't get me wrong, I was completely transfixed prior to this by Memento and Batman Begins, but there was something about the immersive viewing experience of The Prestige that got me to fall in love with his design of storytelling. The skill of Nolan as a director stands out in The Prestige as it is a convoluted premise focusing on an aristocratic and working class magician that is presented in a non-chronological form, sometimes even shifting beyond the realms of reality, but has the ability to keep you interested in guessing the motives, theories, and conclusions as Nolan provides you all the hints from the very first frame, but it doesn't strike you till the very last shot. Prestige is a psychological thriller at its finest, and the more I tell you, it will ruin your viewing experience. Just know that it is filmmaking and acting at its finest. Laksh. I remember when Laksh came out. I was just 10 years old, impressionable, but was only moved periodically by films. I remember 3 years after its release, as I was in a very torrid time as a preteen. I was in bad company in school. I had recently got admission in boarding school and I revolted the thought of even leaving my house. I was unknowingly intellectually stagnating and I came across Laksh on television, a coming-of-age story of Karan Shergill who takes control of the reins of his life and through many hurdles regroups to be a vital officer of the Indian Army in their mission to capture Tiger Hill. Who knew such a film would impact a 13-year-old me? More than a war film, the film represented developing self-worth for a character who had nothing going on in his life. A man who lived in a cocoon of privilege slowly realized the people around him, closest to him, have no respect for his reckless actions. A beautiful character arc and commentary on commanding respect in relationships. More than anything, a movie the Indian Army is genuinely proud of. The film provided me a lesson that the entire point of life and how we get through it is having a purpose. And the theme beautifully is encompassed through the words of Jordan Peterson. That, what would your life be like if you made use of all the potential that you were offered? Fight Club. A movie that impacted me the most, said so much beyond its text, and was one of the prime reasons I fell in love with cinema was the David Fincher directed film Fight Club starring Edward Norton and Brad Pitt, based on the book of the same name by Chuck Palahniuk. The film is a fascinating tale of what we are, the individual, in this construct called society. The film provides a grim image of the illusion majority of the people have in society, of aspirations to become something that they are not. A film that is addressed to the middle children of the world that experienced no wars or the Great Depression, whose war were their lives themselves. The film focuses on several themes beyond anti-materialism, and from rhetoric influence, social and political ideologies, the role of the common man as well as the herd and its influence. The story told through the unnamed narrator and Tyler Durden and the creation of Project Mayhem, a club that slowly develops into a fascist cult for emasculated and isolated men to let out their gripe with society, and its capitalist structure provides for truly a movie experience like no other. A film that had a lasting impression on me, and I hope you get fully immersed in its madness. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below whether you have some video ideas for our channel. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.